Good morning.
We did. I did that. No, we haven't got to that point yet.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to announce, just announce that what our actual topic is this morning.
Yeah.
Becky and Karen, Karen and Becky. So I want y'all to go ahead and get your coffee, get whatever it is that you need, your little cigarette. You know what I'm saying? Get your little cigarette, and I want y'all to come on in and let's talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But before we get into all of that, before we do all of that, right? What we want to do, we want to go ahead and make sure that we are good this morning. We want to make sure that you all are in. So let me say this really quick before we get started. This is our hashtag T2P podcast. We're doing it on Fridays. But what we want you to do, we want you to be interactive with us. We want you to ask questions. We want you to write us, let us know what's going on so we can go ahead and do that and go forward. Our podcast is now streaming on platforms. Ian is a techno guy, so I'll let him tell you. But yeah, streaming on platforms, and he'll tell you about those platforms. But yes, come in, check us out. We're on the Normal Anomaly. We're here doing what we need to do, and all of that good stuff. And it's a Fire Friday. It's a
Yeah.
Fire Friday. It's a Fire Friday.
And I'm still also working on. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still working on the technology. We're just gonna leave the technology where the technology is.
And we're gonna let technology do what technology does.
We're
So,
gonna
you know what I'm
we're
saying?
gonna put this down, and we gonna join in. Yes, yes. Also, we are streaming. We're streaming in two different places. So we're streaming on Titan's page right now, but you can also go to Thought to Ponder.
Yes.
Or YouTube.
Yes.
So you can also. We're trying to work through technology and see what it gives. So
I feel snazzy.
I feel snazzy, child. Let me see if this is cool enough for me
Look, he
to
gonna
drink.
grab he gonna grab his
Let me see
coffee,
if
and I'm
it's
gonna grab
cool
my little
enough for me
slurp.
to drink. All right, that's good. That's good. I got a Keurig. I'm old, y'all.
See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about right there. That's the kind of stuff. He said he old.
I'm old, y'all.
Even though I'm sucking on this right here, I'm still gonna go right on in there and give me a cup of coffee as soon as we get done with this right here.
So we're gonna do the breaths, or you gonna do the groove?
You know what? I really think what we need
Uh-huh.
is a breath right now.
Okay.
That's what I think. That's what I think. We're gonna do this little Fire Friday a little different.
Okay.
Because we're talking about Becky and Karen.
Okay.
We're talking about Karen and Becky. And I think we all need a little breath this morning, right? So this morning, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment and acknowledge that your breath is important. I want you to take a moment and acknowledge that the fact that Becky and Karen has took us to a place that we don't really want to go, and then we have to and then we're going to have to take a breath to make sure that we are good. So this morning, ladies and gentlemen, I want to dedicate this breath, even though the topic is about Becky and Karen, I want to dedicate this breath to Becky and Karen, because this breath is probably going to save Becky and Karen's life somewhere down the road. And if you understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, then talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking. Because what we have done this morning, what we have done all year, is we have saved Karen and Becky's life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me express this to you really quick. I'm not saying that we got to save them 24/7, but this morning we want to take a breath, right? To acknowledge the fact that we are human. We deserve to be able to jog. We deserve to be able to go into neighborhoods and deliver packages.
Yeah.
We deserve to be able to do the things that we do as people of color, right? As our black and brown brothers and sisters. So this morning, we're going to take these breaths, but I want you to take a moment and acknowledge the fact that you're here and that you're living, that you're breathing, and that sometimes you got to take a breath just not to choke Becky and Karen in the throat. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you all chiming in. Good morning. Peace and blessings to you. Come on in. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to start with this first breath this morning. And you know how I like to do it. I like to give you a 5 pace, right? And the 5 pace is, as my brother would say, is a 20 pace. But hey, just so long as you're not choking, just so long as you're not spitting up, just so long as you're not passing out, we should be good. All right. So on a count of 3, I want you to take a deep breath with me. And I want you to hold that breath. And I want you to think about all the times that you have let Karen and Becky make it. And then I want you to blow it out. That's what we're going to do this morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to make sure that we are good this morning. All right? On the count of three, I'm going to take the deep breath in and I'm going to count it out, and then we're going to go forward. 1, 2, 3. Deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Blow it out, ladies and gentlemen. Blow it out. Come on. Come on. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, all right. We got it. We focused it. We're on the second breath. Y'all ready? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Deep breath in. Blow it out. Blow it out. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're doing this morning. I know that we're sitting here talking about Becky and Karen, but the breaths are good for you. It's to energize you. It's to start up your neurons and your cells and to do all of that good stuff, right?
You sound like Little Richard.
And
the paces and the
paces. And the what?
It's let it all. It's let it all hang out time.
Shut up.
Just let it all hang out time.
Shut up. No, I'm just kidding. So, so this last breath. So this last breath, what I want you to do, I want you to take this deep breath and I want you to acknowledge whatever that problem, that situation, that issue is. I want you to acknowledge the fact that we as Black people have a target on our back sometimes, and we have to really understand what that is. I'm not saying go out here and just start chucking everybody in the throat because you feel like it. What I am saying is that just acknowledge that your breath is important, that your life is important, that you are important, right? That's what I want you to do this morning. That's what I want you to do. Okay? Yeah. All right, so this last breath, what we're going to do is we're going to take this last breath, and then what I want you to do is to think about this breath, think about your life, and then I want you to blow it out far, far away. I want you to think of Mount Everest, Mount Fiji. I want you to think about the depths of the ocean, the stars and the moons, how far they are away, and then I want you to blow away whatever it is that's bothering you, right? I want you to blow it away like that. Y'all with me? Y'all with me this morning? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here goes the last breath this morning. I want y'all to come on in. I want y'all to come on in. All right, y'all better be in here this morning. Yes. So I want you to come on in, and I want you to take this breath. And remember, the point of the breath is to acknowledge that you are important. Your life is important. Your breath is important. All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all ready? Let's go for it. On the count of three, I'm going to take the breath in. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, before we take the breath, remember to make some noise on this third one. Yeah. Show that breath, show that Becky, show that Karen that they ain't nothing. Yeah. Show those two men that chased that man down while he was jogging and show them that they ain't nothing, that we're going to do what we need to do to protect our people, and that's what we're going to need to do. So we're going to start by taking that breath. Blow it out. And when you blow it out, make some noise. Show them how angry you are. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the library, if you're at work, we're not responsible. Make sure. All right, on the count of three, we're going to take that deep breath in. You're going to hold it, and when you let it go, I want you to make some noise with it. You with me? Yeah. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Deep breath in.
You're about to kill me. You ain't about to kill. You ain't about to kill me.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, I almost choked myself because I took a little interim breath, and I was. But look, ladies and gentlemen, what we like to do here at the hashtag T2P podcast is just say that your breath is important. I believe that if you take a breath like that every morning, you don't have to take all three. But we do 3 just so we can warm ourselves up and get up to the last breath, right? But just acknowledge that your breath is important because you are important. We're important. And despite what the media is saying, despite what these people are doing and trying to take us out, we are important. We belong here. Our Black and brown brothers and sisters, we are a part of the fabric of this very United States, this world. And without us, it would not be. So I just wanted to say that to y'all. I want to say that to y'all. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we like to do on a Friday, my brother never really wants to groove with me, right? So I'm going to ask that you all groove with me this morning because I really think on the slide he be doing a little shoulder, doing a little Tina Turner action. He be doing a little tapping his foot, type stuff, but he don't want to show y'all that. But, I be thinking that's what happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, and I want you to start up. Did you say you were ready? Okay, I think
they're ready.
You think they're ready?
I think they're ready.
You sure? Should we ask one more time?
Yeah.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Give me some thumbs up, some hearts. Y'all ready? Okay, then. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Come on in. So let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Sit it da 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 da. Sit it da 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 da. Zoom da 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 T2P. Check us out. T2P. Check us out. Zoom da 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 zoom da 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 zoom da da da. Check us out.
Check us out.
Oh, I was leading to. Check us out. I'm trying to get all social media. T2P. Check us out. T2P. Check us out. All right, look, ladies and gentlemen, we are in this mug this morning for real. Yeah. And it may be because we've been drinking coffee and frappes that I'm kind of like, yeah. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the ball up and knock it over to my brother. Brother, what you got to say about Karen and Becky?
So,
yeah. Come on, brother. Talk to us.
So, with all the conversations that's been going on surrounding the brutalizing of black bodies, almost seemingly for sport, I am always concerned, right? As we talked about last week about how we internalize that, right? And how that is externalized through our conversation. So, when I began to think about like this whole Karen and Becky situation, at first I was a little uncomfortable. Because
just a little.
I still think it's a slur. But y'all stop acting like Karen and Becky. But no, that's not right. That's what I want to say, y'all. Stop acting like it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I find us bitching about being called nigger and punk and faggot. Right. So I'm wondering, right, like how do we feel comfort and power and empowered to call the people Karen and Becky, right? When we hate to be called nigger, faggot, and punk.
Right. Well, so I think my take on it is more or less not a slur, but like a syndrome, right? Because what's been happening here lately is that, and not just lately, but what's been happening throughout history is that these Karens and these Beckys, and Ken said, "Who is Karen and Becky?" Okay, so let me explain really quick. So this is a Karen and a Becky, right here, sir. Sir, can you go pick up my stuff? Can you move? And then as soon as Sir says something, he attacked me. He accosted me. He looked at me strange. That's a Karen and Becky. Karen comes in, Becky comes in, demanding that you do because you are a brother or a sister of color, black and brown people, demanding that you do something. And as soon as you retaliate, then all of a sudden they want to call the cops and say they felt like they were threatened, that something was going on. And then we also can flip it from the Karen and Becky to Joe and
no, they Karen and Becky too.
No, but they Karen and Becky too. So what it happens is it's always a point of them coming into our space, or if we're in their space. See my air quotations? All right, Ken. Yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about. And then all of a sudden they're threatened by us because they have pushed us, they have provoked us to a point to where we have to retaliate. And now we're the angry black person.
Yeah.
Now we're the one that's out trying to kill. The reason why we approach this topic is because in this last week alone, in the last 7 days, there have been incidents where people have tried to stop delivery drivers from leaving out of their neighborhood. He's delivering packages, African American, delivering packages, and two white men decide to stop and hold him, and I'm gonna say hostage, because they weren't gonna let him leave. So what does this do? What happens is there's a false narrative. Now, do we have good and bad people? Yes, we do. But there's a false narrative to where I cannot be a black man and walk somewhere or be somewhere without you feeling threatened. So now what happens is, even in history, we go back to Emmett Till, even in history, a white woman, a Caucasian woman, Becky or Karen, will call out the fact that somebody of African American or people of color, they feel threatened by them. And then here come the good old boys. Just like the good old boys ran this man down, did a modern day lynching, and he was jogging. And now they trying to find every bad thing they can find about this young man to tame him because they feel like they were right in what they were doing and making a citizen's arrest. So that's where I'm at with this Becky and Karen. I'm tired of Becky and Karen, men and women of not color, wanting to label us as not even human, number one, but then number two, as we are actual game for the hunt. And so that's where I'm at with that. I'm not telling anybody to go out and go grab a hatchet or a gun and go out and just start, doing whatever. What I am saying is that it's time for this to stop. And I don't even know if conversation is what's going to bring it to the end, but I just thought we should breach.
Well, this is a structural issue.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
This is a structural issue, and I think the conversation around Karen and Becky, I think the intent of the conversation is powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is to bring some type of, if you would, retribution or empowerment to a people that literally is being hunted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a conversation that allows for us to take back some of the power of the racial slurs and the sexual slurs and the sexualization of the people that we exist within, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a really powerful space to be in. I don't know if it's effective.
Exactly.
I don't know if a conversation calling someone a name, right, giving them a personification of a word, right, is an effective way to move us forward, right?
Right.
I think that it's counteractive. It's the opposite of progression, right? Because I think we should be defensive, but not defensive. This is not a person on person thing. This is the structure. The reason why they feel comfortable naming us, gaming us, right, and putting us in that space is because the structure allows them to do that.
Right.
The structure is built for them to be able to be in those spaces and to cry wolf. Right. And so I think that like this push to this push to make fun of or to critique in a way that automatically makes these Karens and Beckys, right, go into the defense is counterproductive.
Right.
It's counterproductive, and I think that it potentially lessens the impact of the conversation.
I don't know. I think sometimes you need to call a spade a spade. Like. Don't get me wrong. I am peace, love, and happiness. Kumbaya. I'm all of that. But there comes a time when you are looking. It is 2020, and I know the structure. I know it's there. But there has to be something somewhere, somehow, where we can break that. And if everybody is on the same bandwagon, but what gets me is that I'm talking with my grandmother. She was born in the 30s, and she would always tell me, "You're gonna understand when the white man put his foot in your back." What the hell? What does that mean, right? I was always like, well, what does that mean? Now you know, white man gonna put his foot in my back. But then she was talking about the structure as well. She was talking about the system as a whole, in which I understood. But here's my thing: if for them to have that type of power, it had to come from somewhere, meaning that at some point it became normal. And we talked about normalized death last week or the week before. But I'm saying now is that everybody is calling it this. Oh, this is the Becky syndrome, or no barbecue Becky, no da 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 da. This and stuff like that. And then it's more of a character that you laugh at than you actually get serious about. Because a lot of people will call people Becky's and stuff like that all the time, and I can get how it could be derogatory in a sense because it's the same thing they call us. Like you said, niggas. They call us animals. They call us all type of things. But what I'm wondering is, has it become the point of Becky and Karen can get away with it now because it is funny, because they are making jokes about it now.
Well, what happens though? What happens though, and this is why I say it's counterproductive, right? Um, because what happens is that Becky or that Karen, right? They are extremely criticized. They generally are like banished from communities. They're taken out of spaces, and their life is forever memorialized, if you would, right, about that incident, right? So social media does do a good job of that. The issue is it's not about the Becky or the Karen, right? It's not about the person that committed the act. It's about the structure.
Yes.
It's about the people in Beaumont, not the people in Houston, where we have a little bit more progression. It's about the people in Texas City that don't get a chance, right? That don't get a chance to memorialize their social media pundits, right? That are negative to them, right? That do these disgusting things to them. And so what happens is, like, we never touch the structure because we're so focused on making a symbol, right? We're using the same, we're attempting to use the same weapon that has less power, right? So what they're doing, right? What they're doing is they are lynching people, right? They are lynching people. They are literally chasing people down and shooting them and then showing the video. And we're sharing the video, and we're sharing the video. And what's happening is we're getting more upset, but really, upset is really not the emotion. We're becoming fearful and anxious and depressed over what's going on, right? And so we're trying to use that same vehicle. We're trying to use that same vehicle to then make them fearful and anxious and depressed. But the issue is we're laughing and we are like putting them in a box, whereas they're saying all of you all are like that. That's the narrative that they're pushing. Like all of you all are disgusting. And we're saying just you, Karen and Becky. It's really about the structure. It's really about the structure. It's about the structure of white privilege and white patriarchy that gives them the power, the power to be able to do these things openly and keep us in fear, anxious, and depressed.
But see, and then this is what gets me with that. Not to say that anybody should not be fearful, that anybody should not feel they need to protect themselves. Anybody should not feel they need to stand up for themselves. But what happens is, just like my brother said, what happens is we start to share it, and then it becomes this fearful thing, right? To where all we want to do is come home. All we want to do is come home. At the end of the day, all we want to do is come home. And I think it's sad that we have to even put Becky and Karen on the forefront, right? Because it's like a double-edged sword. I was watching, and this is so weird. I was watching Mandingo and this other, I can't forget what the other movie was, but it was about the master's wife, having relations with a black man and basically having a child. The child was, of course, dark skinned. She could not, the child would not have lived back in those times because she was not supposed to be messing with whoever. Even though she was the one who initiated it with the slave would have been hung and da da da. So she played it off as her wench's baby. Drum, I think, is the name of the movie. But anyways, you see these things all the time. But then, all throughout the movie, you know you shouldn't be looking at a white woman like that. You know you shouldn't be looking at a woman like that, talking about a white woman. So now, like you said, it's historical. Like basically, all throughout history, we have given Becky and Karen, and we call them Becky and Karen now, but the master's wife and anybody else that felt that they were better than or greater than someone of color, we gave them the privilege, we gave them the gall, the audacity to sit here and start something, right? Just like in The Color Purple. You want to be my maid? Hells no. What did you say to me? I said, right? And then if you really look at it, and I don't know if they intended on doing this, but you really look at it, you look at how she got slapped, right? And you saw her slide across the fender of the car. But as soon as she ran back and hit Master, the truck went by and you didn't even see him get hit, but you saw him go back. And then you saw all these people come running up and talking about you nigger, this and this and this and that. And I was just saying to myself, like, that's wild that you don't respect me, don't like me, don't want me here. I'm a third of a person, a human, 1/3, 2/3,
1/3,
1/3 of a human. But yes, you want me to take care of your house, your children, and all of that because her children were clean and well kept. So I think sometimes we have given, even though these stories are telling our history and things, we have given a Karen and a modern day Karen and Becky the privilege to do that. And like you said, last thing, brother, like you said, we have displayed it, we have put it out there. The system makes sure that we see it on the regular, trauma porn. Make sure that it's on every channel. Make sure that we cannot get away from it. And then you have a point of mothers, black mothers and fathers, wanting their children just to come home. It used to be the black man. It used to be the black man was the one they targeted all the time. Now you see they're targeting our black women. Well, they've always targeted them, but now you see police officers 6 feet taking a 14-year-old black girl and slamming her to the concrete and stuff like where does it end? Is it something that we're going to be able to get out from under? And what I mean by that is that we're here, and that weight of those Beckys and Karens is still here crushing us. Not to the point that it's every day, all the time, but when it does hit, it's one of those things to make us feel like, oh wow.
No, I don't know. So I think a piece of trauma, right, is the consistent rewatching of drama, right? There is something that this normalized reaction that we have to this is because we always see it. I don't I don't believe America has ever been that great. I love America. It's probably the best country, but that doesn't mean it's that great.
Is that right? Exactly.
I don't think that America has ever been this great to where that did not happen. What is happening now, right, is that we are seeing it. And so when most people talk about like we're now seeing it, so that's why it's so heavy, that's why we're out here fighting. No, we are now seeing it because we have the convenience of social media. It was always going on. We're just able to see it. And so I think with the rewatching of that trauma, now it's feeling heavier and heavier and heavier because this is the issue. And this is no shade because you happen to be in a different generation than I am. I think the generations prior thought that we had made it. The generations prior thought that we was the new Negroes. That because we could get into colleges and not live in Sunnyside and not, you know, and
what's wrong with Sunnyside?
I love Sunnyside. Oh, I love Sunnyside. But I'm saying
Southside.
No, but I'm saying like we thought we had made it.
Yeah.
We could stay in the medical center and we could shop at Aldi.
We can live in the land.
Yeah, we can live in the land.
Yeah,
right?
the land.
And so I think a piece of that is we had kind of thought like, oh, it's over. It's over. And social media just brought us right back to the center. Nah, things, it ain't over.
Right.
It ain't over. We still here.
Exactly. So I'm gonna read a couple of comments really quick, and then we'll get back into the conversation. Miss Mack says the Ku Klux Klan, they don't wear sheets anymore, right? They wear badges. The generations of hatred still exist. It has to stop. You know why? Because the black millennials in modern day time and the generation after them will not back down.
Yeah.
With wait, what did she say? Oh, what just happened here? Oh, it shifted. Ain't that some stuff? Hold on. Let me get back to
Yeah,
it.
get to it.
Oh, yeah, it shifted. Okay. Um, and she said that they will not back down. Will look you in the eye and say, no, I will not be treated like my ancestors before me. I will be respected in my blackness. And that's part of what I'm saying this morning. What we're saying this morning is that it's not wrong for you to call for respect. It's not wrong for you to stand your ground. But in this society, in this day, in this age, which has been since I've been a child, and probably my mom and my grandmother and anybody else afterwards, ancestors, as you just said, Miss Mack, that basically the system has put it to where even if we stand up, even if we tell you to get out our face, even if we lick this palm and reach all the way back in the last week and come back and make sure that your face has an imprint for the next year, we're still wrong. We're still wrong. All right. Miss Mack said, "Hey, King Ian."
Hey, Miss
Whatever.
Mack.
You ain't got to say nothing to me. Anyway, so Ken says this may be off. This may be shifting the subject. It deeply saddens me and hit me to the core when some blacks call each other the N-word. But yet, when a white or Hispanic person calls us the N-word, we become furious. We need to start respecting ourselves as a black race. I just don't get it.
We got to sit with that.
Hold on for a second. Okay, hold on for a second. Willie says, did you hear about the police officers that were using black men's mugshots as target practice? I did see that. But let's go back to Ken's.
N-word.
Yeah, the N-word. Right.
The N-word. I've never understood that. And every time somebody tries to explain it to me, I get so lost. So from my understanding, we can, and I'm going to say the N-word because that's just who I am.
Yes, and right? You should.
From my understanding, there's three interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
There's nigga, nigger, and negro.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So
go with the first and I'm going to act it out.
Okay. Nigga, right? Nigga is a term of endearment, supposedly.
Right.
A lot like I use bitch, you know. So because bitch can come different, you know. You can be like nigga, or you can be like bitch. You know what I mean?
Or you can be like
my nigga,
right?
Or you can be like bitch.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you know, it's supposed to be like a term of endearment.
Mm-hmm.
Nigger is supposed to be a derogatory term.
Yes.
I won't go too far into that. And then Negro is supposed to be the politically correct term. You know,
because it's on all them forms. You gotta check it.
But I still have never really understood why. I understand that in our dialect, in our language, that it is that we have to reclaim words. Mm-hmm. A lot like what we've done with queer, right? Because my brother still has a hard time calling me queer. I said I identify as black and queer, and he says I'm not using that term. But I like the term queer. I think it reclaims the power in which we have used queer in the past. I know queer was really derogatory in the past, but queer is like I am all of this and I am nothing of it, right? Like I'm all of the LGBT community and I am nothing. Like I'm all in the spaces and outside of it, right? Mm-hmm. I like queer, so I think that that's kind of what people have said about nigga. I just think that it can't. In my opinion, like I get that we're reclaiming it, but it can't be such a negative and derogatory term when it comes from another race, and then we kind of like just accept it. Because what's happening is it's no longer Caucasian people who are saying nigger. Now it's Latinx people that use the term nigger. And I'm wondering like, okay, well they weren't our oppressors. Right. So is it okay for them to say nigger?
No. But you know what, you find that all the time though, and I think like in my house we don't say we don't use words in that vernacular. Now, there was a time that I stood back and I allowed people to say, but my daughter, my nieces, my nephews, my young cousins, we don't do that inside the house, right? You know what I'm saying? As my grandmother used to always say, because my grandmother was born in the 30s. So they were still doing a lot of beating, killing, raping, pillaging of our black folks. So she didn't allow that. It wasn't something that you said. So growing up, we never said that. But if we wanted to really hit somebody where it hurts, we would call you a nigga in a minute, right? And then if we really wanted to get you, we would call you the house nigga. Because I grew up at a different time, right? Right. And so it was always that because one, you the field nigga, oh, that's a derogatory word because you're the one that's out there. You're normally the darker one. You got to do all the hard labor, and then you got the house nigga that stays in the house that's more of light skinned, right? And then they get all the privileges and stuff that the black folks that are out in the field don't get, but they're both black. But just because they are a little bit lighter or mulatto, as they used to call us, then you get that. I think that we have to stop focusing on just one piece of this puzzle and saying this. If you do it for your house and what's going on, and you're going to always have black people that are going to be on this side and they're going to be on this side. You're going to have those that are going to say that we should not use the word, right? And you're going to have those that are going to say that I don't really care about it because it doesn't really mean anything like that. Just like you're going to have those that say, oh, well, that's not me, right? So why am I outraged that they chased this man down and shot him in cold blood, right? And I always wondered about that. Is there such thing as hot blood? But anyways, so and then you have those over here that are militant about that. But this is where I think we need to, as a community, as a whole, we have to stop trying to fight every piece of the spectrum, in a sense of that we can solve it all together at one point at one time, right? When stuff like this happens, and it's not something that happens often, we often sometimes sweep it under the rug because it doesn't happen all the time. I think that we need to be more diligent, if that's the word that I can use, about addressing these type of issues and problems, and not just with words.
Yeah, yeah, but it's weird because I think that when it comes to things that we can do, we always take that road. Oh well, we can't fix everything. We can only call them Becky and Karen, right? So when it comes to things that we can do to progress it, then I think we always take a very very safe route.
Right. And I think that's right. A lot of the stuff Stephen was saying here was like gays and bitch, right? Because you spoke on that, and yes, like queer, you spoke on that. But Stephen said Puerto Rican is half black. It's weird, yeah, but no, because they still use the word nigga.
Well,
Like
I
that.
mean that. So what happens when you have these unofficial rules? According to our rules, the rules that I at least heard for the
Right.
last like 2 decades is that only white people can't use nigga because they oppressed us. So according to that, our good Latinx and Hispanic folk, they can say nigga all they want to. But you know what's interesting, real quick? So one of my friends is from Latin America, down in South. No, he's from South America, maybe Latin America. I don't know. I'm not a geologist or whatever. So anyway, but he's from down the way. Okay.
Okay.
And
On the map somewhere.
on the map
Yeah.
down the way, and he is what he considers a brown skinned Latin person, right? Um, but in his country, they they still call people Negro
Yeah, of course.
that are brown skinned. And he said because his parents are lighter skinned, his parents were always so scared that he would have some level of racism on him because he was a Negro.
Right. Yeah, because that's basically so basically negro means black
Yeah.
in Spanish, so they are basically calling you black, but it's still a hierarchy because even in Africa, right?
Yeah.
The lighter you are, right, the better you are, right? That's the consensus. If you ever watch Trevor Noah talks about it because his family was that spectrum, white parent, black parent, And the black parent was normally the one that had him all the time, and I can't remember which one it was, but his mother, I believe. And she was always afraid that something was going. He didn't know any different, but he said that his mother was always protecting him, and so forth and so on. But you have that. But then even with this, if you look at it, look at some of the shows that we've had where they did this test or whatever have you against light skinned people versus black skinned people.
No,
right?
well, hold on. What you said? What kind of people?
Light skinned
Versus what?
black skinned.
Okay.
Look, first off, I don't care about him laughing at me. Shit, I said it. Light skinned did, black skinned did. Because I'm going to talk for those that are in the back, those that didn't get a fifth grade education. Look, didn't get a fifth grade education. No, look, what I'm saying is, so light skinned did, and y'all heard it before. Don't act like y'all ain't heard it. But anyways, they did this. I know, right?
Okay.
Look, and then it would be him to call me out on it. But no, but they actually did this whole thing where they were talking about that they did the look of girls, right? Mm-hmm. They took really dark skinned, right? Really dark complected individuals, and then they took yes, I said it, and then they took these Caucasian little girls, right? So black versus white, and then they put these dolls in front of the kids, very very dark, all the way to light. The majority of the kids chose the light dolls or the brighter dolls. And that says a lot about our society, the structure, our systems, and things like that, because I think sometimes we are still there because of that structure. We are still, even though we are not enslaved in chains and so forth and so on, in our minds, we're still mentally enslaved because we still think that this black doll is no good. Barbie wasn't even, but Barbie wasn't supposed to be black anyways in the beginning. But you think about it, the only doll that really made sense was blonde hair and blue eyes. So yeah. Yes, you is. Yes, you is. You light skinned did. But yes, so I think sometimes that we have to really be careful because I think we're teaching it to our children unbeknownst to us because we are so stuck in what it is. We say that people have racism against us or they're racist against us, but we are racist against our own selves because when we look at these, and again, it's the structure, it's the system, but when we look at these shows and these magazines and stuff, we are always comparing ourselves to that, and that's not how we were built. That's not how we were made. And so, whether we were made as God's children, or whether we were made to be black as tar, whether we were made to be light as this, we were made the way we were supposed to be made. And for us to always want to be there, I think that's the mentality because that's what's been spoon fed us. We've been beat. We've been mentally bludgeoned to believe that that's the only way. Just like my African friend said, that they are cream, bleaching cream is like the second or the third highest market there, like billions and billions of dollars. And most of y'all are black. You know what I'm saying? And he said, the lighter you are, the whiter you are, the better you are. What the hell does that mean? So I don't have nothing. And then you see all these people with all these skin issues and problems and stuff where they bleached half of their skin or their skin, they got really bad skin. The skin is peeling, all this kind of stuff like that, only because they want to be white. And I think that that's right there. So yes, I did say light skinned did, and for the person on there, I ain't even gonna say your name, Kevin. Anyway, the light skinned person, but that's what we hear. That's what we hear. Somebody said to me, "Oh well, you know they light skinned." Okay then, so light skinned, but I think mentally we have a long way to go because even though we're in the 2020, and even though your generation that came behind my generation, it still seems to be some type of disparity there that we cannot truly be ourselves because of the system.
Well, right? We also have to talk about, like, there's the system and there's the coupling of the system, right? There's like this system, right? There's this system, and then there's this coupling that we do, right? That is adjacent to it, right? Because we can't talk about this white privilege and why we want to be white adjacent and why we want to bleach our skin and why we want to do all of that. Because what we try to conflate is this idea that not conflate. What we try to bring up is the fact that this idea that we want our skin lighter is because we want to be white, but we are not including the fact that there is a thing called light skin privilege.
Yes,
right. Indeed. And light skin privilege, yes, we can talk about the paper bag test, right, which decided if you was going to be a house nigga or a field nigga, right? But we also can't stop there, right? Because now in modern society, it's really a thing to be mixed, to be Blasian, and Latino, right? And that is not only because in society, right, the societal structural power that you have being light skinned, right? But that's also the power that we give each other.
Yes.
You're prettier, like you just talked about with the dolls. You're prettier if you're light skinned, right? You're more successful if you're light skinned. You can get into places easier if you light skinned. Certain clubs only let the light skinned in, right? So there's also a power that we as community, and so that's I'm going back. I'm reaching back to the conversation in which when we were talking about nigga versus words like bitch and all this kind of stuff, how we've tried to reclaim that power. But when we are confronted with a conversation around why should that word be taken out, we always go real easy on ourselves, right? We go real easy on ourselves. No, well, we can't fix everything. We can't do everything, right? But the reality is, you're right. You can't do everything, but you can do something. And a part of that is this light skin privilege that we're not willing to have a conversation about. It is unfortunate that me and you can be the same size, the same age, have the same attractive level, the same amount of education, but there are places I can walk in before you can, just because I'm light skinned.
Because you're light skinned.
Period. And a lot of that is not. We can talk about the cultural and the historical context, but also we still do that today.
Yes, and we do, and it's funny because I have a friend of mine saying, "Oh, well, I don't really like." So I was watching something, and they allowed 3 light-skinned females in before they allowed the dark-skinned females in. And so somebody was saying that's not really a thing. No, it is a thing because he just said it. Go back to the paper bag test, right? Yeah. If you were able to match that skin color, you were good, right? Because somehow, some way, the lighter the paper bag means the less blackness that you have in you, right? So I'm gonna allow you to get in because now, and then not only that, there is a such thing as lighter Caucasian, Asian, things like that. White seems to always mean pure, right? So the lighter you are, it always seems like the better you are. And I hate that because what happens is I'm the same person that that person is here. They just got a lighter skin coat. That's all. So they put on a coat today, and their coat was red with bedazzle and all that good stuff. And you was looking at that. But here I am over here with the same coat. Just my skin color is different.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And so I get that. But I do believe that you hit the nail on the head when you said we are not willing to talk about that. How we perpetuate the same hate, the same racism right within our own community.
And Bathsheba said something that I thought was really important, and so does Stephen. They're saying the same thing. People have internalized self-hate around colorism.
Yes.
And it really is unfortunate because what happens is it's like you begin to wonder, are we trying to be liberated? Are we trying to be free? Or are we trying to be the oppressor? right? Because I'm also noticing a lot of people that get in these power dynamics and recommit to the same thing that we talk about with quote unquote white people, right? They get into these spaces and then they become the oppressor.
Exactly.
They demand a certain level of. It's so funny. So it's this organization that I was working with in Atlanta, and they do not allow their staff, right, to go to the airport without having on a suit. And I said, that's really, really interesting. And I talked to one of their staff persons. They said, I don't know where it comes from, but this person went to this HBCU, and this HBCU taught them that, you need to be well put together. And I said, on one end, I get it, right? I get it. Be dressed up going to the airport. But you're not even paying these people a lot of money. They work for a nonprofit, sis. They're making $30,000, $40,000. You expect them to have a place in Atlanta, to get to work, to perform at work, and to have a suit for the airport.
Yes.
That's the expectation. So you have been cultivated now because you are elite. You are elite. You're in a place of power. You're in a place of promise to now not even think for the people that you're working with.
Right.
You pay them $32,000, but you expect them to have a suit to go to the airport.
Well, look. So, me and my brother, we always talk about numbers and stuff. But his $32,000 may be $32,000 rich for somebody else that don't have $32,000, and they're able to get a suit. But what I'm thinking is, and this goes back to HBCUs, and this goes back to the abolishment of slavery, to where our ancestors basically could never wear suits. They could never wear the finer things. So when they were emancipated, when they were slavery was abolished, they went and got suits and stood up. It was a symbol that they were somebody. So I can only guess that the reason why this person says that is for representation, it's for presentation.
But that in itself is elitism,
exactly,
and structural,
right?
But a structural issue,
right? But I would just want to give some clarity for those that were saying, "Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that." But when you think about it, we have been oppressed for so long, and we could not show our true things. And I would beg to differ that the person or the organization is further back in history than just now. So that's probably where it came from. It was probably handed down like that.
But it's specifically a black organization.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And I get it. Crystal starts, hey, Crystal.
Hey, Crystal.
And she said appearance is everything.
Yeah.
Appearance is everything. But we also can't commit to this idea of, because when we say put on a suit, just like you were just talking about, when we say we were not allowed to wear suits, and putting on a suit meant that you made it, once again, that is assimilating into the structure.
Yeah.
Assimilate into this structure so that you can be looked at as good. That's no different than colorism. That's no different than sexism, right? The assimilation into being a space, because for clarity, I don't care what nobody said. Out of, at the time, Hillary, Bernie, and Donald, Hillary ran circles around all of them in terms of her resume, in terms of her ability to get things done. Now, people may not have liked her politics, but I mean, we got Donald Trump, number one. Number two, the things that she did was nothing in comparison to Donald Trump. And even though I'm for Biden this year, it also is not anything compared to the allegations and the truth of what Biden has did. But because she's a woman and she's strong and she takes no prisoners, she couldn't be president. Sexism. It's the same, like we are trying to assimilate into this space. It all comes from the structure of racism that was built on our backs.
Well, and then we did a presentation recently, code switching, right? And on code switching, we were talking about how we can still be killers in the boardroom, in the conference rooms, and be in a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah,
it doesn't negate that. But what we do know and what we do understand is that basically it comes from that. So basically, we want to get away from slavery, but you mandating that somebody wears a suit when you go to the airport. And well, you know what? Let me say this. Let me say this because I get totally pissed when I see black folks, and I'm gonna say this because I'm looking at the flip flops, the not washing of the feet, the coming in, clothes half on you, all this, all in the airport. You traveling, you doing, but that's somebody else's thing. I can be mad. I'm not mad because they uh they should know better, but the way that it actually looks like that's not me. So when I come to the airport and I have on shoes, so somebody say, well, why do you have on pants and shoes and stuff like that? You don't got to take it off. Okay, let me roll the way I want to roll, and that's how I'm going to roll. I like to look a certain way when I go to the airport. That doesn't mean that I have to wear a suit, but then that doesn't mean that you also have to come to an airport looking like you just literally got up out the dirt and you rolling.
Well, I don't know. I don't know because once again, what basis do we have to say the purpose of an airport?
There it is.
Right.
There it is. But for me, for my village,
no. Well,
this is my village.
Yeah,
that's messy. But no, but I get it though. I get it because sometimes like people will say if you are actually going to the airport, people will say, okay, you can always tell those who are in business, who are in corporate, because that's how they travel. But then, no, I'm just saying, but that's how they travel. Because then 9 times out of 10, if you look at somebody, you're going to automatically say, and I'm just giving a general idea of what people are thinking. You look at somebody, you see them with a suit and a tie, and say, "Oh, they're business." You look at somebody like there was a time when I went to Miami that I had on a skull cap and some flip flops, and you thinking, no, but I was traveling.
I would argue a little bit different. I think that black people associate success with suits, right? I don't think that society says that if you have on a suit at the airport that you making money, because if true society, from my little vantage point, right, knows Givenchy, knows Balenciaga, and knows that the really high priced labels, right, the YSL, right, they don't have labels, and they actually look like really regular clothes, and generally they can cost a lot more than a suit that you would wear to the airport, right? I think that we have defined that because of our culture. When we see a suit and a briefcase, right? I don't think that doesn't make you successful. I'm not saying that I think that it's unfortunate that we believe that that's the only thing that makes us look successful. Because what I have seen is that when I go to the airport, it's a lot of Caucasian and Caucasian adjacent people in sweats and scullies and tight fitting shirts. Right. And it costs $3,000.
Well, I don't think that it's no, and I get it, but I think again it's that perception. It's that us going back in history to where if we have on the finest linens, the finest clothing, the finest fabrics, we've made it. And I think that's where that comes from, because whoever this organization was that said you had to wear a suit, it was that presentation. It was when you walk through that airport and you're representing my brand, I need for you to have on a suit, right? Now, whether or not they comped the suit, whether or not they got the suit, whether or not they gave them, I don't know, a stipend or whatever it may be, the reality of it is that, right, but the reality of it is that I guarantee you, whoever was at the helm thought that was a way to represent their brand in the sense of, as you stated, here it is again, I want to make a statement. I want you to, boom, all eyes on me. Because I've seen people in t-shirt and jeans and some nice kicks. What? Then that's what it looks like. But then I've also seen some people walk in, but then you made a point. Our black brothers and sisters, our brown brothers, black and brown brothers and sisters will always throw up an eye when somebody walks in t-shirt and jeans and whatnot, right? Because of our hip hop and but then you let them come in, all of a sudden they didn't sold out. Let them come in with a suit on. Let them come into a business. And let the person make you be on time for something. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why we conflate the two.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah.
me being on time is not necessarily the same as me not wearing a suit. I can wear a suit.
Mm-hmm.
I can also wear sweats. What I'm always gonna be is on time. That
Okay.
ain't got nothing to do with the culture, right? And that is a part of the structure, right? Because our structure says that this is good and this is bad. If you don't have on a suit, then you probably not gonna be on time. Then you probably not organized, right? And that's an awful conflation.
Um, Bathsheba said, "Did the time run out?"
I
Or
don't
what?
know. I still see it somewhere.
No, we
Yeah.
still there. So,
But
so
what time
Crystal,
is it?
so
It
hold
feel
on,
like we've
yeah,
been talking
yeah.
about 2 hours.
No, we just at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
It does because we got into topic, but I'm gonna read what Crystal said real quick. Um, um, hold on. Appearance bills. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Suits were a great equalizer, or the closet we have to the close. Oh, so suits are great equalizers, or the closest we have to it, right? Crystal says appearance builds confidence, self-esteem, makes people take you seriously. If you look like money, you make money. Okay, hold that thought. I know you got something to think so. And she says, basically, you look like money, you make money, especially in business. You never know who you'll meet in the airport. That could potentially be a business contact, financial donor for you, for your nonprofit, etc., etc. So Crystal thinks or says basically that it's about that appearance. It's about that this. I'm not saying because we talked about code switching, and Stephen, you mentioned code switching just now. Me and Ian did the presentation, and
Mm-hmm.
on the presentation, we code switched.
Yeah.
We came in with jacket and ties and all of that good stuff, and as we were going through the presentation, we started switching. Don't steal my idea. Don't steal our ideas.
It's
No, I'm
okay.
just kidding. You know, it's already
It's
done.
already
It's
done.
already it's on film.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but during the presentation, we code switched. We
Yeah.
took off the jackets, we took off the tie, we put on the hat. He had a brim hat on. I put on the baseball cap, and we still did the presentation. By the end of the presentation, we had basically took off all the business attire that we had, and we had on our as some people would street clothes, as
Yeah.
some people would say it. But the point we were making was that even though we can code switch, or we're in this world of code switching, the reality of it is I'm still business. We still did the presentation. We still got a standing ovation. We still got all of this being in our quote unquote street clothes. So I think it goes back to the point of wearing the suit, or the point of us as black individuals or black and brown people figuring that this is what makes us.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so this is the thing. I don't want. I don't. First of all, Crystal. First of all, Crystal. I think you are completely correct in your conversation. Right. You are completely correct in the thought that we have to. Um, that suits, as Steven said, is a great equalizer,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that's important. But just because something makes something is a reality does not make it right, right? So we can be comfortable with the fact that business looks like a suit.
Yes.
We can be
Yes.
comfortable with the
Yes.
fact that there are certain spaces that we have to go into and we need to dress up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't go to your interview with a t-shirt on and your tattoos out. You're probably not going to get the job. It's unfortunate unless you're me, because
Especially if you're in corporate.
especially if you're in corporate, right?
Yeah.
So there are spaces where you have to have on a suit because that is a cultural norm,
Mm-hmm.
that is a part of the structure, right? And you must know how to code switch.
Yes.
And that was the conversation we had.
Yes.
You got to learn how to code switch.
Yes.
That doesn't make code switching right.
Right.
That doesn't make having to have on a suit look like business.
Exactly.
Right? Or a must have for business.
Mm-hmm.
That does not make these parameters that we give. It is crazy in the same way. It's crazy for these jobs to be asking for a master's degree and giving you $32,000 and then sending you to the airport and say, put on a suit. It's ridiculous.
Especially if it's a three-piece suit in the middle of summer.
It's ridiculous. Freaking ridiculous. Okay?
Okay. Jenny said real quick, I once spoke to someone who believed in dressing up like that just to be respected. My friend felt that to be in street gear is to be a hoodlum in someone else's eyes. That is so far from the truth, but goes to show how the Beckys and the Karens of today affect that mentality and need to prove one's innocence or success. This okay, so this point here is what we were making in the beginning because of what Becky and Karen see us as if we don't have on a suit, if we don't have this. So they basically see you in a hoodie. Remember how the whole hoodie thing was something. I had been wearing hoodies for years and never had anybody think or anybody say to me that I was a gangster, that I was going to kill somebody or do something. But then all of a sudden, a hoodie became a symbol of what we were not to wear, what we would do. And I would even go a little bit further to say they did that on purpose because they didn't want us to wear the hoodies in the first place. Because that right there, it brushes up against Karen's and Becky's sensibility. I know we're still talking about Karen's and Becky, but that's what I'm saying. And Jen, you're right. I have friends. I've had friends that when I started working in corporate, I would always wear. So there were two things that you could do. You could either dress in a suit, and me, I was always a shirt and tie because that's how I was raised. But then when I got to the point, I was like, dang, kind of like what Ian was saying. Y'all only paying me $35,000, and I'm sitting up there doing all the work. But then the person that's making $1 billion for owning the company wears a t-shirt and jeans and raggedy shoes. And I'm sitting there like, so anyway.
Be the sensible Negro.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, basically what we're saying is, I'm not even going to go down that road, but basically what we're saying is, we're talking about Becky's and we're talking about Karen's and we're talking about how the system and then like our culture, how we have leaned into that. And like Ian said, we don't want to talk about it because we've leaned into it. We've leaned into it to say that basically this is what we're going to do. And despite what
hold on before you stop, I just want to respond to Crystal. Mm-hmm. I also want you, Crystal said, well, in most industries you are at work even when not at work. Depending on the business, you are representing the company on and off the clock. Sure. And that is why most millennials are leaning into entrepreneurship. Because I'll tell you this one motherfucking thing. You know I love you, sis. I'll tell you this one motherfucking thing. I am tired of being in spaces where I have to be the sensible Negro. What I have on, now I understand that I need to pull up my pants most of the time. I also understand that I probably need to cover my tattoos in particular areas. And I do that in my business. Right. But I'm tired of being the sensible Negro and equating some sense of success with the type of clothes I wear. Clothes are expensive.
Yes. But you just said something. I'm tired of being the sensible Negro. And then also, too, that's why we're going into entrepreneurship, because you own your own business. You can dress how you want and do what you need to do. Now, yes, there is a point of you going into a boardroom, into an actual conference room, into a meeting, and you representing. But the reality of it is that most businesses, and it used to be like this, you had corporate, and then you had those over there that hired the people with piercings and tattoos and all of that kind of stuff. And it used to be a margin in between. You were always over here doing this, like the obscure jobs, right? You were never doing the corporate jobs. But then I say this all the time, though. I don't see anything wrong with your tattoos. It's just what it is. Remember how the NFL and the NBA, they didn't even allow you to have twists or dreads or anything in your hair. Your hair had to be cut up to your collar, but that was like a business standard that everybody took on. But I wondered for a long time, was it a point of them taking that on to make you look more white? And that's what that was. If you dress like a Negro, then you're treated like a Negro. But if you dress like a white person, then you're treated a little better, right? You can actually come in and sit down at the table. You can't be outside at the window.
So at this point, I am tired of asking for a seat at the table. I done built my own.
Right. And I done came to the table just like this.
Because this is the thing. The work must be done.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
And either you gonna pay me a salary to come in and do that work, mm-hmm. or you gonna pay me as a consultant, and I'm gonna sit at home and do the work. But you're not gonna make me no sensible Negro. Listen, I will go broke before I be another sensible Negro, and I ain't going broke.
But okay. Ladies and gentlemen, but I do want to say this to you all, and I get that. I am my own entrepreneur as well, but there are jobs out there. There are organizations, there are business out there that take you just as you are. So please don't think that we're saying, oh, well, you shouldn't go work for the man or whoever the man may be or the woman may be. but just know where you're at. The job that I have right now allows me to be tight 24/7. So even when I'm at home, but again, if you are somewhere, I worked for corporate for 11 years and I was a sensible Negro. I didn't let my hair grow. I didn't wear certain things. I didn't do that because when I went, and so this is a little transparency for me. When I went into the boardrooms, into the conference rooms, I wanted to be taken seriously. That was my thought process at that time. That was years ago. But there came a time where I had to let that go. There came a time where I had to say, you know what? I am who I am, and that's who I be. I don't give a damn if your eyes can't see. If you can't see what I, oh my bad. Anyway, but no, but I had to understand. So when I left corporate, I said my prayer and my meditation was, okay, Lord, I'm leaving corporate. I want to do what's right for me. I want to do what's best for me. I want to feel like I'm somebody. I don't want to have to put on every time I go to a meeting or somewhere like that. Now, I'm not going to lie, the pay was good. I was able to go in and sit down and give you my ideas and stuff like that. But then I was like, but I don't feel good. I'm not comfortable. I'm not there. So before you give up on your business, making money, being an entrepreneur, um, understand where you're at and if that job can lead you to where you need to be. I'm not saying be the sensible Negro and just take everything that's thrown at you. What I am saying is there are jobs out there, there are positions out there that will allow you to come in being your whole self. So just think about that.
Your whole and my final thought is just like your whole self could be suit and tie. Yeah. Your whole self could also be a t-shirt and jeans, right? Your whole self could be dark skin or light skin. I am not speaking to the I am not speaking. I am personally not speaking to an idea of rebellion against what you like.
Yes, indeed.
I am speaking to the idea that we have to get away from the structure, right? We got to get away from the structure, and the structure calls for us to be as white adjacent as possible and to succumb to this white privilege and this patriarchy, this male patriarchy, right? So male patriarchal society that we sit in. And I'm saying that system cannot work for oppressed people. Because what happens is the closer you get to it, you don't free other people. You don't liberate other people. You begin to oppress other people just like you were oppressed.
Exactly.
And so I am just hoping that this conversation can begin to spark something in you. Not to say that you don't put on your suit and tie and look nice or go work for corporate and make your 6 figures and all that kind of stuff. I think all of that stuff is amazing. I am against the system, and I'm against the systems of oppression, not only that keep us down, but allow other people that are elitist in that system to keep us down.
Indeed, indeed. So I'm going to read one more comment before I say my final thought, and then we're going to get out of here. Jenny says, that's the sad damn truth. I love how you both make it make sense. Because it's nothing is ever just one way. So here's my final thought on these Beckys and these Karens, right? As we dug deep into what Becky and Karen was, we find out that it was systematic. It's something that's been handed down from generation to generation. It's something that has been built into the very fabric of our lives and of who we are, and we sometimes don't call it out. This is what I'm going to say to you all today. Take a moment and take a breath, right? I know we always start with breathing and everything else, but take a moment and take a breath and understand that you are here to be your whole self, to be who you are, to make sure that you are able to be accounted for. What I want to say to you is this. If you must take a step away from the system in order to build your own, then you do that. But I do want to say to you on this. Sometimes if you push, right, and pull, sometimes you get what you need or you get what you want for the time being until you're able to jump ship or until you're able to make that. And I know somebody's going to say, okay, well, Titan, it sounds like you're saying play the fool. No, what I am saying is, and me and my brother talk all the time, I'm a person that I got to get my foot in the door. Let me get my foot in the door. Everybody plays the fool sometimes, right? But what I'm saying is that if you are doing something and you're good, if you don't have the degree, but you got the experience, build up on that. Make sure that you're doing that. Have your own business. Do what you feel you need to do for you. Don't sit in the same spot like I did for 11 years, right? Being the what you call it, brother?
Sensible Negro.
Being the sensible Negro, and it took me 11 years to finally get out from under that, right? And it took me 11 years to finally say, okay, Titan, you can get out here and do what you have. We all have these abilities. So if I can tell you that, do that. Make sure that whatever you're doing, not being a sensible Negro, that you're making moves and you're making waves for your entrepreneurship. You know what that means. So that's my final thought. Peace and blessings to y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, go and check us out on my Thought to Ponder page, but also the podcast is up and going. And
yeah. It's on iHeartRadio, Google Play, and on iTunes right now. So go ahead, check us out. Hashtag T2P Podcast. Yes. Actually, it's called the Normal Anomaly Podcast on all of those things. And you can go to thenormalanomaly.org/podcast. TheNormalAnomaly.org/podcast.
Come on, all of that. A, B, C, D, I, All right, ladies and gentlemen, love you. Peace and blessings to you. And we will see you